Hey everybody, Roger Thorpe here, president of Thorpe Benefits. I'm joined by Allison Brown, our VP of Consulting Services. How are you, Allison?
Great, thanks, Roger.
Good, good. We are going to have a different type of conversation today, and this is where we're going to identify the stresses and pains and symptoms that HR and finance people are feeling in respect to their benefit plan. And I will preface this with the fact that when we get involved with organizations around benefits, the first point or area we're trying to support is as a trusted secondary source that we know people have a lot of great relationships in their benefit plan, and we want to complement or give them a way to sort of continue to learn and add value to that. So I just wanted to mention that before we get into this. So, Allison, the first thing I would suggest in terms of like what people are feeling in terms of pain and stress related to benefits would be first thing would be that budgets right now are way more volatile and unknown than they've ever been before. And in general, benefit and wellness budgets are rising way faster than anything else on the profit and loss statement.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are feeling like this is something we cannot sustain. More than that, though, it's the rates that they get at time of renewal that they get, okay, claims are rising, but I still don't understand the real logic and the math behind how it ends up. So it creates a nervousness and a real sense of a lack of control. And the worst feeling, of course, to have is to feeling like you're in a corner and that your only options are really to shop around or to move insurance companies. So if that's where you feel you're at, there is another approach, trust me, that you can take other than that. What would your next piece be, Allison?
Yeah, I think that the next pain point or concern would be the overall design of the plan. So, maybe there's a feeling that the benefit plan doesn't properly represent the core values of the company, or maybe you've never even looked at that correlation. It just, feels like there's a disconnect there. And with the number of different generations that we now have in the workforce, you might be hearing some feedback that there just isn't enough flexibility. And maybe you share that sentiment too. You're a plan member as well. But that's also because many HR people just they inherit plans that have been there for years and years and years. And they don't know why they were designed the way they were, and perhaps they haven't been looked at. So maybe you feel like it's an antiquated plan, and you don't want to be putting a plan offering out there that feels old fashioned or off benchmark, because those gaps can create some negative chatter amongst your people. You might hear those on the Slack channel or on your Teams channel. And that's something you definitely want to address because people
Okay.
are going to really harp on what's not covered. So
Right.
finally, if you've started to notice also that there might be some exposures in your plan. So in other words, if you're not sure if your plan is protected from the increasing costs that you just talked about, we're thinking about weight management, biologic drugs. Those are the kind of scenarios you might want to crash test, right? Crash test
Yeah.
those financially, see what the impact is, not just next year, but 3 or 4 years down the road, just to see if the plan can survive them. So that's
Right.
where I think the plan design can be a significant pain point. And then the next one it's okay if I do the next one too.
Go
Then the
go
next
ahead.
one I would work on is communication, right? So I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding that people have about benefit plans. So if you're hearing the same questions over and over again, that's going to point to confusion around what's covered and what's not. And as many times as HR people try to convey that, it's just not getting through, right? And so hopefully there's a way of collecting that information. So inbound surveys, that's a great idea if you're not doing that. But if you are doing that and you're seeing those survey results, that might point to your benefit plan being subpar. And those are really powerful results. You want to use those. If people don't understand the plan, then chances are they don't appreciate it, even if it's excellent, because people always want more, always. And so getting the right messaging around how the plan is packaged, that can be really powerful, and it can change people's perception, just communicating better. And then the last thing I'll say about communication
Mhm.
is that because you notice that people are only talking about what's not covered, as opposed to saying, what, the plan, it's pretty good. If you're hearing that, that's really common. I just don't want you to feel bad if you're hearing that. It's common, but it's a pain point that you can address for sure.
Okay, awesome. And I'll take us home with the whole issue or concern that people have around general health and
Mm,
well-being of their employees. There is a lot going on there that is noticeable both on the surface and below. In our claim data and then some of our wellness data, we're finding that there are some really difficult issues people are dealing with. It may be showing up in lower productivity, lost time, absence issues, and so on. But you really have to understand that people are dealing with not only general mental health challenges like anxiety and depression, overall stress on people that might come from caregiving responsibilities, from their general financial well-being of
Mm,
making ends meet, and then overall, world events. We cannot ignore that people are forced to deal with a lot of negative news and information. That
hmm
is very overwhelming for people. And as I said, it's either creating day-to-day productivity or absence issues, but it's also showing up as in real absences as very complicated return to work and
Yep.
accommodation scenarios. So um, I think in general, there's some real pressure here that HR people are feeling personally, but they are definitely noticing that our employees are dealing with it.
hmm
We can't ignore it any longer. It's super, super urgent. So I guess I would say that after talking about these pains and symptoms that people are maybe this is resonating with them, they can continue to trust that they can come to us to address these issues as a secondary source. We're happy to talk to them, or by just joining some of our client
hmm
events, whether it's our roundtables or our wellness events or our
Yeah, there's always
symposium.
something going on at Thorpe
There always
Benefits.
is.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that other HR people and finance people are going through some of the same things. And it's a
hmm
great way to sort of listen in and share what those issues and solutions are. So, lots of ways to address what we just talked about. So,
Absolutely. Okay.
thank you so much, Allison. Appreciate you going through that with me today.
Thank you.